Now maybe you can help us with the pronunciation. I apologize.
Darlene.
Thank you very much. Welcome.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Darlene and I'm an attorney here in Wilkes-Barre. My goal here today is to provide yet another perspective of why the city of Wilkes-Barre must close its door in order to honor Dr. Luther King's birthday and his legacy. I was born in Haiti. For those of you who do not know, Haiti's army, led by Toussaint Louverture, defeated Napoleon's army, and we became the first Black republic in the Americas in 1804. After years of fighting for freedom, the last 45,000 slaves were freed in America in December 1865 by the ratification of the 13th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. However, even after the abolition of slavery, blacks were still not free. And you have heard of the great work of Dr. King. And you have heard how his movement led to the creation of the Civil Rights Act. However, his legacy is still alive in America. Blacks and whites alike are still fighting against racism. They're still fighting for the civil rights of the disenfranchised. But racism is very much alive. Racism is very much alive in America, and racism is very much alive in Wilkes-Barre. And I'm not just saying that because Dr. King's birthday is the only federal holiday that the city of Wilkes-Barre has decided not to honor. Instead, Flag Day and the day after Thanksgiving are celebrated. Does that suggest a level of racism in Wilkes-Barre? I moved to the area last year from Wilkes-Barre in Potter County. I was one of 9 African Americans in the entire county. It took 1 hour and 15 minutes to drive to Walmart. So you can imagine it was a very rural and small community. When I was moving from Wilkes-Barre last year, and I told people, obviously they were mostly whites, that I was moving, they asked me where. I said, I'm moving to a small suburb of Wilkes-Barre. They said, what? Wilkes-Barre? I said, yes. And they asked me, isn't that where the judges sold children for money?
Go ahead.
I said,
Go ahead.
yes. Well, you know, they're really racist over there. I thought that was ironic, that people from a place with only 9 blacks, full of which were my family, my 2 children and my husband and myself, would talk about a place being racist. Well, I expected to find racism in Wilkes-Barre, and I certainly found it. However, I have to say that thanks to Dr. King's legacy, every time that I've dealt with someone who has encountered racism in Wilkes-Barre, I had the opportunity to tell them about the laws and how they can be protected. Because of Dr. King's legacy, there are laws in America to protect people against racial discrimination in the workplace, in school, and in housing. It is difficult to understand how important Dr. King's legacy is when you have always had Dr. King. It is very easy to take Dr. King's legacy for granted when you grew up in a country where there has been a Dr. King. I would like for you to live for a few minutes in a world without Dr. King. I will tell you that I live in a world without Dr. King. When I was a student in France, and excuse me if I become emotional, when I was a student in France, and most people believe that France is a country where there is no racism. But I will tell you, the racism in France is even worse than here. As a student in France, a friend of mine, we were sitting on a bench and just sipping quietly from a cup of McDonald's soft drink. And a lady, a white woman, came by with a huge dog, and the dog tried to drink from our drinks. And we said, shoo. And the lady said, shoo you, effing Negroes. At least he's home. Go back to Africa where you belong. There was no recourse for us. Even though that lady was yelling at us and harassing us, there was no recourse. But the worst thing that happened to us was when 3 of my friends, we decided to go and rent an apartment. We called, and we were given an appointment at 2 o'clock. When the 4 of us showed up, the lady looked at another lady, a white lady. She looked at us, and she said, well, it's rented. And we said, but we just called, and you told us to come. And she shrugged her shoulders and left. And we said, could it be because we're black? So we called back. And she gave us an appointment for 4 o'clock. We went back. She looked at us and she said, I told you effing Negroes, the apartment is taken. Get the F out of my face. And we said, but you are racist. No, I'm almost done.
1 minute, okay.
But I actually, a lot of the people who have signed up have donated their time to me because I'm speaking on their behalf.
Go ahead.
And so, she said, get up, get the F out of my face. There were enough, we knew she wasn't renting us the apartment because we were black. And guess what? There was nothing we could do about it. There were no laws, there was no organization, no NAACP, no one that we could call to talk about the issue. We went to a dorm and we felt powerless. And one of us said, Dr. King, do you know there's this black man in America who had a dream that one day we would all be equal. I wonder if one day there will be a Dr. King in France. And we pulled out his speech.
I apologize, I know you have a lot of material there.
No, actually, I'm almost done.
30 seconds.
Probably. We pulled out his speech and we read it, and after we read his speech, we were filled with hope that one day there will be a Dr. King in France. There was never a Dr. King in France, but there was a Dr. King here. And because of a Dr. King, I can sit here and talk to you. I want to ask you, do you want to be known as the only place in this area where Dr. King is not celebrated? Do you want to be known as a place where judges sold children for cash? Do you want to be known as a place where people are racist?
Preach.
What? I have lived here for 16 months, and I know that the city of Wilkes-Barre is much more than that. So I just want to know, what is your legacy? What is the legacy of Wilkes-Barre? And next time someone says, I'm moving to Wilkes-Barre, what do you want other people to ask them?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.